You know, I haven't watched CNN in about 2 years now. I swore off the network entirely after their coverage of Biden's Afghanistan withdrawal. However, Watchmojo did this video on the worst things CNN has ever done, and wow, it's bad. Mind you, the video as a whole isn't terrible. There were two entries that particularly got on my nerves, though. The first one being number 8, which I will play for you right now.
Number 8. Inspired the fake news craze.
I told you, CNN is fake news. Don't talk to me. Go ahead, please.
News that deliberately misinforms has been around as long as news itself. There's an important distinction between media bias and fabrication that has faded in discourse on American journalism. As CNN escalated negative coverage of President Donald Trump, they leaned on possible conspiracies between his 2016 campaign and Russian agents. The network's particular interest in the Steele dossier, dismissed by many outlets as unsubstantiated, undermined their credibility. Worse, it was early fodder for Trump publicly dismissing bad press as fake news.
CNN's fake news. I don't take questions. I don't take questions from CNN.
The political right wing has since popularized the age-old term to conflate critical mainstream media with disinformation. There are, of course, many conclusive points of criticism for Trump, but CNN's efforts to keep conspiracy theories in the public consciousness helped popularize a dangerous pejorative.
Fake news. CNN. Fake.
Okay, first off, I can't help but notice that Watchmojo changed its wording from saying CNN pushed possible conspiracy theories to just conspiracy theories over the course of a minute. I also find this framing to just be idiotic. You're blaming CNN, specifically their coverage of the Steele dossier, which, yes, was later disproven in several ways, I will gladly concede that, for Donald Trump and Republicans smearing critics of the administration as pushing fake news. So it's CNN's fault the rest of the media was smeared? But why wouldn't somebody who's willing to dishonestly smear the rest of the media not just do that anyway, regardless of what CNN was reporting? Also, blaming CNN for the Steele dossier coverage just feels weird given, well, it wasn't CNN's fault. They were fed misleading information about the dossier, specifically regarding if it had previously been fact-checked. None of this is even getting into the fact that CNN was still skeptical in its reporting regarding the document. I immediately recognized the person on the right of this footage CNN shows as veteran journalist Bob Woodward. So I looked up specifically CNN's coverage on the Steele dossier with Bob Woodward, and the first two videos I found were titled Woodward, Unverified Russia Dossier is Garbage, and Watergate Reporter, Russian Dossier is Garbage. So let me make sure I get this criticism straight. CNN reported on a major allegation against the then president-elect, which they were led to believe was backed up by factual information and originated among an intelligence agent, and they proceeded to neutrally cover it and allow critics of it on their network to discuss their issues. Republicans then used the fact that this dossier was later proven to be false as a scapegoat for dismissing all negative coverage of the Trump administration, and that's CNN's fault somehow? I was also incredibly frustrated with their number 3 entry, which was on CNN's groundbreaking coverage of the Gulf War. Just watch.
Number 3. Coverage of the Gulf War.
The skies over Baghdad have been illuminated.
The Gulf War was a controversial episode in American foreign policy. Unprecedented media access and the dawn of the 24-hour news cycle promised truly nuanced coverage of the conflict. Instead, CNN largely stuck to the perspective of the U.S. military. Even human interest stories concentrated more on American servicemen than locals facing unimaginable upheaval.
I'd like to tell the American people how much we appreciate your support, your prayers, and your confidence during these last 7 months.
Viewers saw more action and coverage of violent anti-war protests in the States. By the end of the brief war, CNN and its groundbreaking format were a revolutionary success. Still, many accuse the network of propaganda and sensationalism, with this watershed moment in journalism sparking the CNN effect, wherein news media plays a key factor in policymaking. There's no overstating the consequences of CNN's breakout, importance, or dire.
The whole world was watching CNN. We were the only ones who had reporters in Baghdad.
You know, I was originally going to go into this long rant about how they don't actually say who these critics are that felt this way, but instead I'll just point this out. Their third worst thing CNN has ever done is reporting that they themselves called groundbreaking and revolutionary, but which they also claim was bias in favor of the US. And their best example is human interest stories focusing more on Americans, which, by the way, that would more just be the result of the fact that their targeted demographic is Americans than Iraqi civilians. And even if you think that's an issue, that still isn't third worst thing a network has ever done worthy. Good night and good luck.